When meeting a girl on a dating app. 1 year ago, I was on an app, a local app, where you could talk to people who were within your area. I met a nice girl there, and we also had common interests. We hit it off right away, and exchanged numbers and pictures. Everything was perfect, too perfect. She was all over me, saying stuff like you're very gentleman-like, but she was obsessed with me, and I never had a girl like that before. Even though she wasn't the best looking girl, she made me feel a certain type of way. Then at some point, we wanted to meet, normally on a Saturday afternoon. We had a nice time, and at some point, we did do the deed, and it was a great time. I tried to sleep at her place this time, but she didn't want me to. I thought maybe she lost interest because of my poor performance, but I couldn't be bothered at that point, and I went on with my day and left the house. But no, she didn't lose interest. She asked me if I arrived well after I got home 30 minutes later, and so on. Nothing special happened though, just normal texting about life and stuff, until 2 weeks later when I was done with my studies. I wanted to see her again, but something was different. The way she wrote, without emojis and more direct. When I wrote to her, she almost instantly replied, which is kinda different because she always took her time. That's how I knew her, but I was really in the mood and I didn't care that much. But it was almost like another person was behind her mobile phone. I didn't even care, and I said I would pick her up with my car at her house, but no. She said I should meet her at a local park. She has to fill up on gas anyways. The location we were supposed to meet was at a local park, but she wanted to meet when it was already kinda dark, which was kinda suspicious. But at that time, it wasn't somehow. I sent her 2 question marks through text. Why there? And she told me not to ask any dumb questions and said just be there on time. I replied, LOL okay. When I was there and waiting for her, she came 10 minutes later, but I didn't care to be honest. I was just so happy I could see her again. As she parked her car, I got a weird feeling. I knew something was terribly wrong here, but I couldn't point out what. I checked the location, was looking left, right, and if there was something wrong. I also checked the bushes so no one was ambushing me. She also didn't come out for the next 2 to 3 minutes. I was like, yeah, just a stupid, funny, unfunny joke of her, like sometimes she did earlier. I could not see into her car because the windows were tinted. Like I really couldn't see through the windows. It was about 20 to 30 meters away. I was waiting for her to come out of her car, but she didn't. I was smiling at her car, probably because of nervousness, and thought she was playing an unfunny joke on me. But then suddenly I get a call. I pull out my phone and it was her. As soon as I pulled my phone out and saw her name, I heard doors open, but not one door, but 2 or even more. The way the car was parked, it was horizontal, so I couldn't see if there were more passengers who opened the door. But one thing I knew was my body was instantly in fight or flight, and I knew something was extremely wrong here. I ran for my life, and I didn't even look back to see who or what exited the car. After I managed to escape, I deleted and blocked her number. I believe to this day she cheated on her boyfriend, and he somehow found out and wanted to beat me up or do even more serious harm. Made eye contact and got followed. This happened maybe a year or 2 ago. I can't remember exactly. I was on my way back from the university and passed through the shopping center as I needed to make some purchases. Some background about me is that I am a very paranoid individual. I tend to look around a lot and I keep an eye out for creepy behavior. I noticed this very tall man who was dressed in all black with headphones on walking towards the same flight of stairs as me, and I immediately stopped before we collided as he was walking incredibly fast and with a lot of force. I glanced up and we made eye contact for a second, and I can't remember the details, but he just did not seem friendly. I quickly made my way down the other flight of stairs. There were a couple of stairs. It was a weird building, and don't ask me about it. And immediately he was right behind me and I could sense his presence. Or perhaps it was because he was incredibly tall. Even if I wasn't considered short, he was tall. It was as if that small glance was an invite into occupying my personal space. I made a beeline to what us UK folks would call the meal deal section. I guess in this moment, I felt it was a safe space due to the open space, and I saw a woman in the corner. As soon as I stopped, he stood right behind me, heavily breathing and centimeters away. I didn't know what to do, aside from making sure I was near members of the public, and I just stood still like a statue and stared at the floor, refusing to make eye contact and give him attention. A few seconds passed, and then he let out this villainous laugh. It was so creepy. Then he walked off again. The worst part was, I told a member of the staff, and I was pretty shaken up. She said she would tell someone, and before I could give a description, she just walked off. Didn't even ask who it was, even though it was busy and could have been anyone. Me and my boyfriend were being followed at the park. Just for background information, I was 17 and my boyfriend was 19 when this happened. Back then, me and my boyfriend's relationship was not accepted by anyone in either of our families due to the 2 years age gap. Although we had met when he was only 17, this being said, him and I would often sneak out in the middle of the night to see each other. On this particular night, my boyfriend and I decided that we would go run to get food and then eat at the park. Everything was going good. We got McDonald's and then parked and ate. Once we were done eating, me and my boyfriend chose to walk around a bit. We sat on the swings for an hour, talking and enjoying each other's company. After a while, we noticed lights coming from further into the park field. We got up to get a closer look, but whoever was there saw us stand. The flashlight turned off and they ducked into the woods. Me and my boyfriend passed it off as two stupid teens, just like ourselves, sneaking around at a park around 2 a.m., not wanting to get caught. We carried on with our night, talking until we saw the lights again, this time closer. We called out and got no reply back, but again, the person turned off their flashlight and ducked down where we couldn't see them. I was beginning to freak out as my boyfriend was getting annoyed, thinking it was a stupid kid trying to prank us by scaring the crap out of us. We got up to check around the area, stupid, I know, and saw that whoever was there must have left. We went to the spot where we saw the person lay down, and there was an imprint of a body there. Whoever was there was taller, maybe around 6'2". I convinced my boyfriend to take me home after that, but as we were walking to his car, we heard footsteps a few feet behind us. We turned around and saw the light again. Me and my boyfriend then booked it to the car and sped off. We were able to get a slight glimpse of the person as we ran off. And what's more chilling to me is, he was indeed not a teenager. He was an elderly man with a bald head and white beard. We told the authorities the day after.